Hi everyone, I hope I'm audible and visible to all of you. Could you give me a quick yes if you can see and hear me? Awesome. Welcome everyone. I'm Rohas Nagpal, and what we're going to talk about today is a very interesting new offering that HYFI is coming out with that is going to help to make whiskey pricing very, very transparent. Now, if you look at the whiskey industry, pricing of bottles is very transparent. I mean, every single bottle in the world is available through so many different online websites as well as offline stores, and the pricing is very clearly known to everybody. But when we look at whiskey casks or the barrels that are in the distilleries or in with private collectors and other places, there is a complete lack of pricing. You will not be able to find pricing online. There are very few places where you may get it, and even then you may usually end up getting an Excel file. You're not going to be able to see it in a trusted online format. And we believe that that is a very big problem in the whiskey cask investing sector. And that is why we want to solve this lack of authentic and accessible pricing information. Because without this information, with this opacity, it is very difficult for a distillery, an investor, a collector, or even a brand owner to actually make an informed decision. All this is going to change with HYFI DAO's AI powered decentralized whiskey cask price oracle. So, this particular oracle, and which is also being powered by artificial intelligence, factors in 41 different parameters to give you an authentic valuation of the price of a specific whiskey cask. Let me explain to you how it works, and whatever questions you have, please feel free to keep putting them in the comments and I'll answer them after the session. So, step one, we get the current pricing estimates for a particular whiskey cask from the relevant distillery, from our panel of experts, seasoned collectors, and partner societies. So, that is only step number one. It's not like we take this estimate and we give it to you. No, that's just the starting. After that, we feed these price estimates into artificial intelligence platform, which then also takes 38 additional parameters. I'm going to briefly walk you through what these parameters are. So, the initial pricing estimate, which comes from the distillery, panel of experts, collectors, and partner societies. To that, you add 38 additional parameters, and then the AI comes out with the authentic valuation for that particular cask or collection of casks. Now, once we get that estimate, this is then fed into the HYFI blockchain. Anybody in the world can set up their own node and they can have this information on their computer, or they can simply log into our site and for free watch and view this information. Now, this valuation is going to be updated regularly, and every time it is updated, again, it is fed into the chain. So, if you run your own node, you can get it instantly. Otherwise, you can visit the Explorer or the site and you can see these price informations as they evolve over time, and they are not charged for. So it's a completely free of cost oracle. So our objective is anybody in the world who's part of the whiskey investing sector should be able to get this authentic prices at any given point of time so that they can make proper informed decisions. Now let me briefly walk you through what are the parameters that we are going to use. First, of course, the first category is the current pricing estimates, which have been done by the distillery which produced that particular cask, as well as our selected panel of experts and collectors. And then we are also partnering with societies around the world, like malt societies, and they can also give us their estimates that according to them, what should be the price. Now, after we get that, the second thing that we look at is a category called product specifics. Now, in this, we look at things like age of the whiskey, type of the whiskey profile. In fact, why don't I just open it up on my screen so it'll be easier for all of you to follow along. Just give me a second. I hope this is visible to all of you. Just give me a quick yes if you can see current pricing estimates written on your screen. Awesome. So now let's quickly walk through this. So like I said, the first one is the current pricing estimates, where we are getting it from the relevant distillery, panel of experts and collectors, and partner society. The second thing that we look at are product specifics, where for that particular cask or collection of casks, we look at the age, the type, the flavor profile, the cask size, type, and what were the previous contents, because even that impacts the final produce, the cask strength and bottling strength, color, filtration methods, and the chemical composition. So this comes under the second category. After that, we look at the third category, which is the production and origin. Here we look at the distillery brand and region, the distillation and bottling years, the maturation environment, water source and production processes, use of traditional or innovative techniques. So these are the things that are factored in category 3. We then come to category 4, which looks at the market and economic factors. So here we are talking about the market demand and investment trends. So we kind of actually try to see that as of right now for this particular type of collection or this particular distillery, what is the market demand and the investment trends for their casks? We look at the rarity and availability. So, for example, there may be a situation where a particular distillery, for example, has shut down. That actually increases the rarity of their casks and reduces availability. That can also have a positive impact on pricing. We also look at economic factors like inflation and currency exchange rates. Fourthly, we look at the impact of global events and geopolitical factors. Like, I mean, let me give you a simple reason. There may happen that certain countries suddenly start feeling that no, we must spend more or we must consume whiskey in our own country. So that kind of a geopolitical factor can also impact the price of other whiskies. Then we look into the legal and regulatory. That's the category number 5 that we go into. Now, in that, we look at the export import regulations. Those keep evolving regularly and they do have an impact on pricing. We look at the legal ownership and documentation for that particular cask or collection. And we also look at regulatory changes that are going to affect the production and sales. So that comes under category 5. Category 6 is about storage and the condition. So here we look at the storage conditions, the temperature and the humidity. So obviously, depending upon the temperature and humidity, a lot of things change for a whiskey. So we look into that. We look into the cask condition and the repair history. We look into the angel's share. Then we come to the category number 7, which is the historical and cultural value. So here we look at, does the particular distillery have its own historical significance? What are the historical market value fluctuations for that particular region or that particular area? Then we look at events or stories associated with the cask. So naturally, if a particular cask has a more interesting narrative with it, people are ready to pay more for that, right? We all love stories as humans. So naturally, those also need to be factored into the pricing. Category 8, we look at the brand and distillery attributes. So, what are the kind of awards and recognitions? So, even if a distillery wins an award today, it automatically impacts not only the price of future production, but also all the past casks. Automatically, they become more valuable. We look at the distillery's production capacity and what all innovations they are doing. We look at their marketing, distribution, and other collaborations. So, if a particular distillery, for example, is tied up with a very famous celebrity, that can immediately have a positive impact on the pricing. Then we come to category 9, which is a very, very critical one, especially in the world where we talk so much today about climate change. So, what are the sustainability and ethical practices that the distillery is following? So, we look at the environmental sustainability and if they are using renewable energy and if they have any kinds of organic certification. That also plays an important part in the valuation. The 10th one is additional experiences and services. So, for example, does that distillery offer access to exclusive clubs or experiences where customers can come there, they can see how things are done? That actually plays a huge impact in the minds of potential customers, and definitely that can increase the valuation of a particular cask. So, we give a lot of importance to that factor. Then, do they offer any kind of personalization options, any kind of events that they are associated with, and whether the distillery offers educational programs and specific courses? That's another thing that we take into account. And like I said, if you have questions, keep putting them on the side, and I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to all of you. Then we look at the second last category, which is the investment and collectability. So, what is the future investment potential for this cask or collection? Is it included in any prestigious collections? So, even that's another very interesting thing. There are so many celebrities today or famous collectors who do have their large collections. We're trying to showcase that. And then we want to tell you that, okay, this particular cask that you're looking at is part of a prestigious collection, or it's part of the investment portfolio of some very reputed fund or a hedge fund. So that also could make a positive impact on the valuation. And then, of course, we look at the collector's market trends and rarity. Finally, we come to the 12th category, where we see that is the particular distillery and its supply chain already using artificial intelligence or blockchain for valuation and tracing. That's something which gives a positive impact. Whether the distillery is integrating digital technologies like NFTs. And finally, we also look at the online community influence and social media following of the particular producer. Now, after all these factors are taken into account, this is what goes into the AI. It then analyzes everything and then comes out with the correct valuation. This is then made available through HYFI blockchain nodes. And then, whenever the valuation is updated, you again get access to the latest version. So, those of you who are listening to me or you're going to look at the video later, if you are part of this industry, so whether you are a distillery, a collector, a broker, or you're a brand owner, anybody, and you feel that this could have a positive impact for you and you want to try this out, do get in touch with us and we'll quickly do a POC for you. And then you will be able to use the live product also very soon. Now, if there are any questions, I'd love to take them. Keshav, if there are questions on other platforms which you can then put in here, I'll be happy to answer those. So one interesting question that I can see is about the price for this particular data. So although it's called an oracle and we usually know that oracles charge for the pricing of our information, this is a completely free of cost product. The objective is to bring transparency into the industry that we are working. So we are working in the whiskey investment business, and that is why we want to bring the transparency in. So we are not charging you for providing these data streams. Anybody in the world is free to use them. Of course, suppose somebody is unhappy with a particular valuation and you feel it's wrong, it's too high or too low. We have a process under which you can get in touch with us. You can give us reasons why you feel our valuation should be changed. And then, of course, we look at it, and if required, the valuations can be changed. There's an interesting question about bottling strength is about plant capability. So it's more about, how much of the percentage of the OLA and other things are going into a bottle, like the strength of the alcohol in there. That's what that particular factor means. And of course, that's an interesting question. If you have any other questions on some of the terminologies, you can always download the Whisky Investing playbook that we have released. So in that, all these terms have been very clearly explained. So if you're new to Whisky Investing, I would strongly advise you start off with that particular book, playbook. Download it for free. It'll give you a good idea into why we are so bullish on whiskey investing. In fact, if you look at all the global estimates, more and more high net worth individuals, HNIs, and ultra high net worth individuals, UHNIs, they're putting more and more money into whiskey. And whiskey is also considered a way of transferring wealth across generations. So, in fact, in Scotland, that's a very common way in which when your child is born, you could buy a cask in the child's name. And when the child is ready to go to college, you sell the cask and you can pay the college fees. Or in another way, you could look at when your kid is born, you buy a cask for them. And when they're getting married, you can then bottle the whiskey in that cask and then give it to all the guests at the marriage also. So lots of very interesting things that you can do with whiskey. Another interesting trend that we are noticing is that a lot of the niche restaurant chains, hotels, and even bars, they want to have their own branded scotch. And that's doable. I mean, you can basically buy out a cask, and then there are so many people available who can design a bottle for you. They can even create a unique label for you, and you can serve your own branded whiskey in your bar or hotel or restaurant. You could do it for marriage ceremonies, you could do it for wedding anniversaries. So we are seeing more and more such innovative use cases that are coming up. And all of these use cases would benefit from transparent pricing. Are there any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions. So great. I'll be also putting up more information. This video will be available, and I'll be putting up more information about the things that we've discussed here. Our technology is now live, and we are going to be starting our valuation processes from next week onwards. So, like I said, if you are a distillery, a collector, a broker, or a brand owner, do get in touch with us so that we can work together on this. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.